Hi all, in this lecture we will go through some important data structure of Python. This lecture is only for those who wish to learn concepts of Python quickly. In journey of machine learning, it is essential to have some edge over Python. So we will cover and talk about loops and functions as well as some important data structures offered by Python. I'm sure that you will try it your own and get acquainted with these data structures. So we will cover these portions very quickly here, and as such, you are aware of structured programming language like C. So and you already have that concept. So like we'll go a little fast and cover the concept and important aspects of the Python. Well, let us start with the important data structures here. First of all is a tuple. It is ordered sequence and all elements are separated by commas in case of tuple. As shown, rating is a tuple and all element of tuples are separated by comma here. This is another tuple which is consist of different data types. Tuple can have data elements consist of different data types. To access the data elements of tuple, we use index number. As shown here in example, tuple 1 0 represent first data element and so on. One important thing to note is that tuples are immutable. Second, another important data structure is list. List is order sequence. It is represented using square bracket. We also nest tuples and other data structures as a part of the list, and the same indexing conventions apply for nesting as well. Like tuple, each element of a list can be accessed via index. Here, example is given where L equal to, so you have a string like Michael Jackson and float value that is 10.1 and 1982 is a integer value. Next important data structure is set. Sets are basically type of collection. It consists similar type of elements. You cannot store heterogeneous types of data in this. So, like the set contain always a similar type of data, basically. Well, list can be covered to set using set function, but the set cannot contain duplicate values. Like here, we converted the list to set which contain duplicate value thriller. But when we convert it to set, it will have only one value. Set function is used to convert list to the set. Finally, data structure which we will talk about is dictionaries. A dictionary has key and corresponding value. The key is analogous to the index. They are like address, but they don't have to be integers. They are usually characters. The values are similar to the elements in the list and contain information. To create a dictionary, we use curly brackets and the keys are the first elements. They must be immutable and unique. Each key is followed by a value separated by colon. The values can be immutable, mutable, and duplicates. Each key and value pair is separated by a comma. Assume we have a dictionary named DICT, contain keys as a name of movies and values are year of release. Then we can access all keys as shown here using dict.keys, and values can be accessed as dict.values. Okay, conditional statements in Python. Well, simple conditional statements is shown here. Condition is expressed as if followed by a condition and a colon. Group of statement will execute if the condition is true. The group of statements are indented. No brackets or braces are used, unlike C programming language here. So it is important to note that indentation is important in Python. It is used in conditional and looping statements. In this example, we will see if-else statement. It is important to note that indentation is very important to show the block of the statements followed by if and else. The conditional the condition check the age and display appropriate output. So like if age is greater than 18, then colon followed by indentation, and when display the output, that is print, and you can enter. So indentation is very important that we need to understand here. Okay, next is in case of multiple conditions, we use if, elif, elif, and finally else. Here, it is important to note that we write elif, not else if. As shown here, conditions are followed by colon, and the statements are indented to group them as part of conditions. As shown here, it checked the condition for age. Okay, before we start with the loops, we need to understand about the range function first. Range is a function which generate ordered list. Look at the example here. The range function generate range from 1 to 3. That means start point is 1 and a member data of the range will be 1 and 2. It will not include the end point, that is 3. So it means the elements available in list will be 1 and 2. Here a small for example is given, and you can see that for I in range 1 to 3 and print I, so it will display 1 and 2 because range will generate member function, member data. So I will have member data 1 and 2. Okay. Here we have some more examples, and for the for loop, it is important to note that range function is very important when we use for loop. In first example, range is from 8 to 0 and iterative value is -2, hence it will decrease. So in decremental order, it will generate the sequence. So from 8 up to 2, it will generate because 0 is the end point, so it will not include 0 here. Okay, so output is also shown here over here, and you can view that. Okay, here is one more example, and you can just see that we have created a list called squares, and for I comma squares in enumerate squares. So enumerate square will, as such you are aware of enum function, which we already talked about. In case of C, you must be aware of that. So enumerate will iterate the loop for number of times. Here we have 5 elements in the list, so it will generate 5. It will execute 5 times. All right, so we talk about for loop, and now here is a while loop. The while loop exists as a tool for repeated execution based on condition. The code block will keep being executed until the given logical condition returns a false Boolean value. Here is one example for while loop. A while loop iterates until the condition in the argument is not met. You can just go through this example. It's quite simple and easy to understand. While block condition is year not equal to 1973, and a block of statement contain 3 statements. So it will generate years, okay, till it reaches to the 1973. Okay. Now let us understand about user-defined function. A function is a reusable block of code which performs operations specified in the function. It allows to break down tasks and reuse the code in different programs. There are 2 types of functions basically, predefined function and user-defined functions. We will talk about user-defined functions here. User-defined functions block begin with def, followed by the function name and parenthesis. So basically we define the function name and it contains a parenthesis. There are input parameters or arguments that should be placed within this parenthesis, and you can also define parameters inside this parenthesis. There is a body within every function that starts with a colon and indented. You can also place documents before the body. The statements return exits a function, optionally passing back a value. So in example, the structure of user-defined function is shown over here. You have def, that is a keyword defined, and add is a name of function. In the parentheses, we have a parameter that is a, and then we have a function body here. Okay, and finally using we can call the function by name, and you can pass a parameter like as shown here. We have called function add and passed a parameter value 1. Let us create one user-defined function here and understand that. Here we create a function add and pass one argument. We can call this function by name, and as shown here, the input to a function is called formal parameter. A variable that is declared inside a function is called local variable. The parameter only exists within the function. That means point where the function starts and stops. A variable that is declared outside a function definition is global variable, and its value is accessible and modifiable throughout the program. We will discuss more about the global variables at the end of the session. Let us go through some important predefined functions here. And first one is a print function. Another function is a sum function. It adds all the element in the list or tuple. And another one is a len function. So len function returns the length of a list or a tuple. We can also set default value for arguments in function. Here is an example. This function parameter rating has been assigned default value 4. You can pause this and go through the example, and you can also execute it at your own using Spider. Now we will talk about an important library of Python, that is NumPy. NumPy array is similar to a list. It is usually fixed in size and each element is of the same type. We can cast a list to a NumPy array by first importing NumPy. Here we import NumPy library and derive an object np. Since Python does not support array directly, we can create array using NumPy library. Here we have created array using NumPy object. Array index starts with 0. We can change the elements of array as shown here. First we create an array C and we display its content. We can change the element of an array as shown in rest all examples. You can just go through this, and it's quite simple, and you can understand how we have declared array and how we are using it. So we end this session here. We talk about some fundamentals of Python and important data structures. You can definitely try some coding using Python and practice on it. Now you are aware of Python coding, and we can pursue our further step towards the machine learning and artificial neural network. So have happy coding. See you soon. Thanks, and have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.